Today, what I'm going to show you is how I got these free to backlinks from sites with millions of traffic. Some of the biggest brands in the world, for example, we got a link from MSN down here. We got some backlinks from New York Post, Daily Express, Daily Mail, etc. Let's open this bad boy up and see what's popping. So if we go on this particular link, you can actually see that it's linked to me directly. It's actually mentioned me right at the top of the article. And then, let's check out another one. So this is a link from the New York Post. So you can see there's a legendary Julian Goldie mentioned here with a cheeky quote. And it even calls me an SEO expert inside the anchor text, which is quite nice and flattering. It's good for the old ego as well, I'm not going to lie to you. And if we click open this link, you should be able to see here that it links directly to my website, my homepage, juliangoldie.co.uk. I'm going to show you how I built all of these backlinks today. I'll get into that. I'm going to break it down into a step-by-step actionable process that you could just steal from me if you want to. Now, additionally, when we look at the backlinks, for example, this backlink from New York Post, as you can see, which again is a huge brand, like this is top tier backlinks. You can see here, for example, we'll check the href, the code, and the backlink is a do follow backlink. So these links that we're getting are not just free, they're not just linking to my homepage, they're not just including relevant anchor text, they're not just from some of the biggest brands in the world, but they're also from sites that are super high domain authority, super high domain rating, and getting millions of traffic. So for example, if we go to the New York Post, we'll check out this website and just check the metrics. So yeah, DR91 over there, 12.2 million traffic. Google obviously likes it, 6.1 million keywords that it's ranking for. It's not like you're just getting backlinks from a cheeky link farm. This is something really high authority. Some of the best and finest links I've ever seen, to be honest with you. And so if we scroll down the list, these are all just from like 2 days ago, 1 day ago. So they all sort of happened over the span of 48 hours. So we've got a link from New York Post, Daily Express, Daily Mail, MSN. Yeah, let's just filter to say like the last month or so. We've got a couple more there. Yeah. So let me show you and break down exactly how this works step by step. So the first place to start with any campaign like this, if you want a super actionable way to do it, is basically ideation. Now, I've put this into a step-by-step process that you can use. I'm going to show you how you can automate it later with ChatGPT as well if you need some help. So in terms of stage one, what you're essentially doing is you're trying to get into great publications by giving journalists stories that will be of interest to them, right? So for example, this story is about billionaire names and the most popular ones, and whether people's children are like destined to be super rich. Obviously, we all hear about billionaire this, billionaire that. Everyone wants to be a billionaire these days. So this particular story appeals to a lot of people. It's interesting news. It would appeal to the whole population. It's something that journalists could publish. And so that's why we went with that. Now, when you're doing this, you have to think, okay, what are you an authority on and a topic on that journalists at big publications also write about? So, for example, if you look at the mention of me here, calls me an SEO expert. Basically, because I have a personal brand with a lot of expertise, a lot of authority in the SEO space, I can position myself as an SEO expert. And then when I reach out to journalists, I can tie that in with whatever research I'm pitching. And by the way, this process, it works for any sort of industry, any sort of niche. I don't think that the links are so powerful that they don't need to be like 100% niche relevant. So for example, this is linking to my agency's website about SEO. Is this article super relevant to SEO? No, but the link is so powerful that you would be crazy to say no to that. I mean, bear in mind, most people, if they could pay for a piece of PR like this, they'd be paying like thousands of dollars. We got it for free in this particular campaign. So just to recap, you're going to get some great stories. Then you're going to focus on what you're an authority on. And then from there, you want to research topics to see what's been published in the last 12 months. Now, you can use Google News or you can use Muckrack for this research. For example, like if you're an SEO expert, you might type something like SEO expert into Google News or tech expert, etc. Or AI expert could be a really good one at this particular point in time. So we can just go into Google News, free to do. Anyone can do this who's watching. We can type in, for example, SEO expert. And then from here, we can have a look at tools. We can filter down to the last year and we'll just see, okay, what's popping off? What are people interested in? What's appealing over the world, right? So for example, you've got AI in the future of SEO. That's an interesting one that we could talk about. Google is trying to kill AI clickbait. And you've got all these sort of interesting articles that you could potentially get coverage on as well if you were an expert in the same field. Now from there, you want to look at government data. Government data is some of the best sources for data because that's what journalists are going to trust. when you're pitching to people. So for example, if we look at the billionaire names example that I've given today, it's based on fundamental research that's already been done. And then all we do is we look for trending topics in the same niche as us that we're an authority on, and then we use that to create the research that we can reach out to journalists with. And then from there, you've basically got the ideation process nicely combined. And if you combine all of the above information, you understand, okay, these are the type of ideas that will do well. We're going to add a fresh angle, so something new and interesting on it. We're going to create some new and interesting data around that. And then we're going to make the idea relevant to a current societal event. So this works really nicely as well. For example, like, let's say ChatGPT just got released, then talking about the future of AI, ChatGPT and SEO, etc., would work really, really nicely. And you can basically implement that for any single industry, any single website, whatever you're talking about, whatever you want to get featured on, etc. And bear in mind, like, it's all about perception. So it's quite easy to pop up a website, like you can see right here, and just position yourself on an expert on whatever you want to get press release about. Now, obviously, if you're doing this, you want to make sure you actually are an expert, but that's how stage one of the process works. And this works in 4 simple steps. So the first step is ideation. We'll come on to the next ones as well. And then after that, what I'm going to show you is how to automate this with ChatGPT. So now let's move on to the process of production. So at this point, you want to gather data, analyze it, and then find interesting stories within it. And you're going to write an interesting press release that clearly states the story, what's going on, etc. Now, in terms of gathering the data and analyzing it, where can you find that? So one of the places that we always used to go for public statistics and government data is a place called ons.gov.uk. Now, this is really good because it gives you a lot of data. It's based on a ridiculous amount of records. I mean, for example, you can see all this data, the census. So, for example, you see the census data on employment rates, inflation, GDP, UK population. These are all topics that will be quite hot right now in the press to get some PR, right? And so if you want to find a specific type of data in whatever industry you're in, for example, business or tech, we can type that into ONS, like you can see right here, and we can get all the latest data and information. Now, you can see you can sort between relevance. You probably want to go for release date and then just find something relevant to you. Now, if you can't find that, there's loads of other website government statistics. The good thing about government stuff is usually those statistics are open, and then it's up to you to figure out, okay, how do I analyze that data and create something of use and value with an interesting story? The story is the most important part because you're linking the data together with what you're an authority on and trying to create something interesting that's going to attract attention. So, for example, we were talking about like billionaire names before. If you collated all the data for the names themselves aren't that interesting, but if you can say like, right, these are the top 10 names, and that's how people can figure out whether they're going to be rich in the future or not, like, it's an interesting story that would appeal to millions of people, right? Millions of parents out there. And then you want to write the press release based on the data and the story that you create. Now, this part of the process is based on our team's work. But if you want an idea of, okay, what does a press release look like? Because obviously, journalists have a certain way of doing things, a certain way that they expect the data, etc. You've got to make it easy for them and appeal to them. So you can actually just Google it if you want to find information on that. Otherwise, you can actually go into ChatGPT and just ask for some templates for press releases, because the way that it's formatted, for example, headlines, subheadlines, usually you have some information about you or your company. So here's an example. You can get some examples on like Canva as well for templates on how to do that. But basically, you do want that press release to be formatted nicely and in the way that journalists want it, so that they know what you're talking about. You're not just some geezer off the internet watching a YouTube video and then implementing it yourself, right? You don't want to look like that. So just to recap, we've covered the ideation process. Now we've covered the production process, right? So you're halfway through the process right there, and it gets easier and it gets faster from it. So the next step is outreach. So you want to find journalists that are writing about these topics regularly, and then just outreach with a short pitch and the press release. So the short pitch is just going to be an email, kind of like Harrow or those sort of pitches. And then the press release itself, I've already shown you how to do that. Now, when it comes to figuring out, okay, which journalist should you contact, one of the best ways to do this, you can just say research on Google News. You can collect that data of who's the journalist for each article. So, for example, if we go into this article in the New York Post, where I mentioned, you can see here that the journalist is linked to at the top. You've got some information about the journalist. You've got their email address right there to contact them. You got the RSS feed to see what else they've talked about recently. And you can figure out, okay, what content do they create? How should I contact them? What would they be interested in? And then how can I craft a pitch around what they'd be interested in so that I can get backlinks from them too? And the outreach process is a numbers game like any sort of link building, right? When it comes to PR, it's the same. So we've covered ideation, production, outreach. Now we're on to the final stage, which is reporting. Now, every single day, if we're doing this for clients, we're looking for new placements and links using a combination of Ahrefs, Muckrack, and Google, right? So for example, if I want to find recent press releases of me, we can just go into Google, and this is free for you to, obviously Muckrack and Ahrefs are paid tools, but if you go to tools over here, we'll search over the last week, and you can just find recent mentions for free on Google directly. If you get a lot of mentions like I do, I've got a lot of social media going out getting indexed, then just type in the subject of your press release, your name, etc., and then you'll see all the recent posts. So for example, just over the last week, Daily Mail, New York Post, Yahoo, Daily Express, NetMums, Metropoles, Web Writer Spotlight, and that's literally just Daily Mail over there. When you crack the code on this, it's absolutely amazing how well it works, and it's amazing the quality of the backlinks we're getting right here. Now, the other bonus here is that you're probably going to get a ton of syndicated links too. So for example, when a big publisher like this publishes an article, quite often there's all these other websites that syndicate the same content and publish it to their site too, which means you don't just get the backlink from, say, New York Post, but you also get the backlink from all the other sites too, which is kind of like a nice little bonus. And quite often these can be like super high authority. I mean, yahoo.com doesn't come much bigger than that. Same with New York Post, Daily Express, Daily Mail, like some of the biggest newspapers in the world right there. Now, if you're wondering, okay, how do you implement this on ChatGPT? So what you can actually do is you can, for example, like take the ideation process. We can say to ChatGPT, come up with some trending stories for PR based on, and you would just insert some information about you. And then you would put something like follow the ideation process below. Give me 5 nicely formatted ideas based on this, right? And now it's giving us a bunch of angles, stories, supporting data that we could actually get based on that story, right? So we've got the rise of AI-driven SEO, how small businesses can compete in the holiday season. Here's the angle, here's the data you're going to use, here's why it's relevant, etc. And then you just validate that on Google News and make sure it's actually content that's being talked about. Not all of these are going to be perfect, so you're going to play the numbers game, and that's why you want at least 5 trending topics. Maybe you want even more, right? So for example, if I look at this list, I'm like, right, that's probably a cool idea. I don't think anyone cares about that, or that, right? Because it's a bit too niche and it's not going to appeal to big enough newspapers to get featured. So that's basically how it works step by step. And then you can do the same for the press release, for the outreach, etc. I would honestly recommend that you don't use AI too much to automate the whole process, because I think journalists will sense it, and probably this is what everyone else is doing. So you want to be different from everyone else so that your pitch is more likely to get featured. But that's basically the whole step-by-step process. Now, if you want access to all the examples of the backlinks that we've built, the ideation process, the step-by-step SOP for doing this yourself, etc., what I'm going to do is I'll plug that into my free SEO course. Links in the comments and description. We'll call this PR link building, as you can see right there. And if you go into the free SEO course, log in, go to SEO link building, and then go to the PR link building section, you can get access to all the notes right here, right? So log into the free SEO course, link building, PR link building, and the video notes will be in the description right there, right? Now, one of the really important things to note here is, like, if you think about, okay, how's Perplexity or how's ChatGPT or how are these AI models going to source the answers in the future, or how are they going to detect who's an authority? Typically, that's going to come down to being mentioned in authoritative news sources. So if you want to future-proof your business, getting backlinks like these from really high authority websites is super powerful. Now, some people will be watching this and be like, okay, that's great for you, Julian, you're an authority, etc. But, you know, previously in the past, when no one knew of me, I still got backlinks from Forbes, from these other websites with the same process. And it's not a requirement. You don't need to be like a big name in your industry to actually get featured. You just need to actually follow the process, implement it, and stick with implementing that process over time, right? So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, we're actually offering PR as a service. So if you're interested in us doing PR for you, feel free to book in a free SEO strategy session. Link is in the comments and description. We've actually got some special offers on right now so that you can save some money doing this. And if you want to learn how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month, generate thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to book in. This free link building acceleration session will grow your business because you'll get a free SEO domination plan that's custom tailored to you. You'll discover the secrets of link building. We'll answer any questions you have one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, how to quickly outrank your competitors in link building, how to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us. Feel free to book that in. Appreciate you watching.